Okay, I'm gonna do something that I don't normally do on this channel. I was asked, um, probably around Monday if I was gonna do. Sorry, I've got something all over my couch, and I've been trying to clean it off, and it's like the more I clean it and I think it's clean, then more pops up. So if you see it, sorry. Um, I'm still nursing an injured foot. I see it orthopedic Tuesday, so. I've got a lot of time on my hands right now, so I was like, well, I'll do a real quick video on it. I don't really want to go into it too much because I don't want to have to monitor the comment section. I know this is a subject that gets people heated, and I totally understand people are passionate about certain things. First off, let me start off by saying this, that I've been a huge fan of boxing since I was a little girl. And I started watching UFC back when I first started, and there was no rule set with my father. I have been in Golden Gloves. I have had 2 amateur fights. So I know a little bit about both sides, and I do have a wrestling background. When it comes to the Maymac fight, okay, I've seen so much stuff that popped up the day before. Of course, both sides. You know, it seems to me more the Mayweather side of the fans where, oh, he beat his ass and all this other stuff, where the McGregor fans are just like, you know, he lasted 10 rounds with what's supposed to be the best ever, so Mayweather says, but we all know the best ever was Ali. Best of our times, even that's questionable to me because I don't like his style. The fight, I watched the fight. The fight was a good fight. I hate to say this because I am a Conor fan and I'm a boxing fan, and I do think that the fight at times appeared very amateurish on both sides. I felt like there was times that Mayweather may have been trying to bait Conor into doing something very illegal that is just going to be natural for him, being, you know, a mixed martial artist. I do think Conor needed some more time to learn the rule set more, so he wasn't hooking and hitting him on top of the head, trying to hit him from behind. I hate to say that about him because I love Conor. And, you know, there's one time he accidentally hooked the head, and I died laughing thinking he was gonna pull off a guillotine. But anyway, no. McGregor did not get his ass whooped. Yes, he lost. If you go, and I'm not going to link them all here, and I'm not going to put the clips in here because you all are adults, I hope, and can do your own work and look it up for yourself. But if you search, there are a ton of Hall of Fame boxers, retired boxers, and just professional boxers in general that say Conor, for one, did very well in the fight, especially considering that, you know, he doesn't have a professional boxing career. Now, I have heard a lot of misquotes or a lot of wrong information saying that he doesn't have any experience boxing. Conor started out boxing. That's what a lot of people don't understand. But no, he's never had a professional boxing fight. He started out in boxing, and then he found mixed martial arts, and for a little while he was splitting them up, and his boxing coach said, hey, one or the other, so he went with mixed martial arts. He likes the beauty and everything of just pure unarmed combat, which is really what it is. I hate it when people, like, it's a lot of boxing fans think that anybody can do MMA, and it's not that easy. If it was that easy, I would be fighting still, even though I'm 30 something. It's not that easy. It takes years of training. I mean, yeah, some people can train a shorter amount of time and just have natural reflexes and natural ability, but you know, most people have started out in one form or another at a very young age and just kind of learned other things to go along. They have groups that they work with, you know, they have several different coaches that go in there and they have to worry about more than just getting hit. So it's not as easy as it sounds. And I'm tired of people making it sound like that when they've not even stepped in a boxing ring, let alone a cage. I see a lot of armchair fighters and coaches, trainers that want to say that he beat his ass and blah, 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 blah. That's just not the truth. Yes, Mayweather had a plan. He played it smart. It ended up being a good fight in a way. But I think that considering the man was on his 50th professional fight, that the fight itself was good. I think it was worth $100, but I don't think that somebody that was on his 50th professional fight would normally fight like that. It was just bad. I've never liked Mayweather's style. I don't like the idea of just playing it safe to make it to the bell and try to win by cards. Yes, he has some knockouts. He just developed one of the best defensive... he's one of the best defensive fighters that we've seen in maybe ever, but probably in quite some time. I don't know if that just has to do with previous hand injuries or, just realizing that if he takes too many good clean shots to the head, that it's going to shorten his career. I don't know. There's probably a reason why he fights like that, but, it's whatever. I don't find that style very appealing. I don't find it interesting. I don't find it fun. I think that he is part of the reason why I stopped watching boxing for a little while, because I hate that. I don't like fighters who are paid to go in there and fight, and then all they do is avoid and counter. Avoid and counter. I mean, I know that's the name of the game, but when you avoid so much that you're throwing half the punches that most fighters throw in a fight, that's just pathetic. And even, I've seen professional boxers, and if you research a lot of the Maymax stuff, or Mayweather versus McGregor, or any of that, you'll find a whole lot of different things. You'll see point of views change from before to after. Of course, UFC guys and gals are going to stand behind their fighter. There was a few that didn't. There was some that were flip-flopping throughout the whole thing. Of course, a lot of professional boxers were like, he's not going to be able to do this. I'll be surprised if he lasts one round, which was a laugh to me because, seriously, when was the last time that Mayweather KO'd anybody? It had been 10 years. Or so, I think. Anyway, and then after they started seeing the footage of the little clip that they released of him and Polly, sorry, my accent gets me sometimes, sparring, then a lot of them started changing their minds, and where he started out such a huge underdog, those numbers started closing ever so close as the fight approached. Even that night, they were getting smaller. I think people seeing that Conor wasn't, even boxing fans were seeing that Conor wasn't going to be as easy of a fight as they originally thought, just because he was not a professional boxer. Even if you go back and watch Eddie Alvarez, before the fight, he talked all this trash to Conor. After the fight, he can't even remember what he got hit with because of Conor's speed. And to look at his face, Conor obviously has power. It's a little bit different when you're basically fighting bare-knuckled. But I know boxing gloves are more to protect the fighter's hands than your face. Very aware of that. And you still can get busted open. You still can break bones in your face and noses and all that. So I'm not trying to say that, boxing gloves are like pillows like some people think. I know better. I've been hit with them. But even seeing what Eddie Alvarez said after, and he has won pure just respect for Conor from that, because he went in there with a plan. Conor flustered him so bad, he ditched his plan, tried to outbox him, and got knocked out. And as he said, he didn't expect him to be that fast. He said he doesn't even remember what he got hit with before he was on his butt. And he said that it's because Conor has more boxing experience. These guys that are in the same league as Conor, I guess is what you would say, know that he didn't start out just as MMA, that he does have a boxing background. Granted, it's smaller, but he does have a little bit of boxing background, but he's able to, he mixes everything together. He's so unorthodox in the way he fights. And I think that's what makes him so exciting to watch. I know a lot of people hate him. Most of the time it's because of the notorious attitude that you see in front of the cameras, and that's not the attitude that everybody else sees behind cameras. Big difference. It's just kind of like I tell people all the time that are wrestling fans, like professional wrestling fans, you know, you've got heels and babies. Heels' jobs are to make you hate them. And to sell, to me, in professional wrestling, heels are more important than your babies, because you can't have a top-level baby if you don't have a good heel. You need your heel to be so hated that people want to get behind the baby to cheer them. Kind of the same thing here. Conor plays on people's emotions a little bit to make them either love him or hate him. So either they watch him to win or watch him to get beat. And he's why UFC is starting to draw in more pay-per-view buys, sell more tickets. Fighters that are on cards with him are making more money. He's done a lot for the UFC, and even a lot of the UFC people will tell you that. You know, Dana said the whole reason he noticed Conor, the whole reason Conor got his start in the UFC was because when he watched him, he said, this kid has the mental warfare of Ali. Not comparing him to Ali, just saying that that's what he put him in the mind of as far as his mental warfare before a fight. And he said he never thought he would ever see that. So that's what got him started, and that's where he's at. I see a lot of people say that he's a disgrace. This isn't what how the UFC wants to be represented, but in fact, that is exactly why the UFC picked him up. So, do your research. But back to the fight. Conor won the first 3 rounds. Yes, we all know that it was all part of Mayweather's plans. Go in there, let him get the heavy shots out, wear himself out, and then go back. You know, smart plan. That's very smart, but that right there is years of experience. Going to the stoppage. That was a bullshit stoppage. If you go back and watch it in slow motion, Conor was even like, what the fuck? He was fine. And that's why whenever the doctors and stuff kept coming in, they were asking if he was okay, and he got so irritated that he finally screamed. He's like, I'm fine. Because he was. And then if you want to ever see the true Conor, go back and look at all of his fights after his fights and see what kind of a man he is to the fighters that he's fought. Even with as shitty as Jose Aldo has been to him since his fight, Conor went over to him and told him, you deserve more than that. We can do this again. He went in his dressing room and he cried. I think Conor broke the man. He's not been the same fighter since that fight. And he's so... Conor broke him so much that he can't even let go of it. Like, it's like he's obsessed with watching Conor, hoping that somebody else can beat him, because he obviously can't. But, you know, even Nate Diaz said that people should stop underestimating him before the fight. Now, if you go back and look at videos, there's a ton of videos of people saying that, you know, they were wrong about him, his ability's there, he could stay in boxing. Mike Tyson said, they asked him if he should stay in boxing. Mike Tyson said, well, he should go back to MMA, but if he's going to make more money in boxing, he should box, because he obviously can't. And they asked Mike Tyson to give him a grade on the fight. Mike Tyson, who said he stood no chance, gave him an A on his ability, because he said that he was very surprised by him. Mayweather, who went on to say several times that he legit disliked Conor, was praising the man. Those two, and as much as I don't like Mayweather, those two, after the fight, showed what sportsmanship is, what true sportsmanship is. They set a great example for younger athletes on how they should conduct themselves after any kind of game or sport. And I love that Conor is a man. He stands up to and owns his losses. He doesn't care to own his losses because, and I used to tell my son this all the time when my son was still wrestling, really often. We don't lose, we learn. And that is just something, it's not something that Conor started saying. It is something that is said. If you know anybody that is an amateur fighter, amateur wrestler, or even fighting professionally but not for the UFC, it's a common thing because you learn more from your losses than you do from your wins. That's why, like when Conor got beat by Diaz, he came back and won. And he even said the night of the fight, after the fight was over, now that he's fought Mayweather, he sees what his problem was. He would be happy to take another rematch, and he bets he could beat him again. But for all the people who think that they know more and want to nut hug up on Mayweather, I suggest that you do a search. Let's see. I'm trying to think of who all I know gave props to Conor. There was a ton of professional boxers that were just stunned by how well he did. He went 10 rounds with supposed best ever, which I don't agree with. Maybe best ever of this time, and that's a stretch in my opinion, but that's my opinion. They said to them, that's a win for him. He came in with no professional boxing experience with a man who was going into his 50th fight and lasted 10 rounds. Yeah, Mayweather didn't really fight back much the first few rounds, but even Conor won rounds 1, 2, and 3. Mayweather won 4th. Conor won 5th. That was the last scorecards I seen, and that was up right before the fight got stopped early. Now, I don't know if those were the official cards or just the predicted cards. And I haven't actually went back to look. But even Evander Holyfield, he was interviewed after the fight. There's a whole thing. Let's see, I have it wrote down where you can find it. Fight Hub TV. They have an interview with Evander Holyfield after the fight. Holyfield said, I knew going into this Conor was a tough guy. He fights him in MMA. Anybody that fights MMA has to be tough. They take kicks, elbows, chokes. They have to be tough. He knew that he wasn't going to be an easy opponent. And he even said, his performance in the boxing ring, yes, it needs to be brushed up on, but it was much better than anybody on that side of the fight game expected him to be. People seriously, and I don't understand why, expected Mayweather to just flat run through him. And some idiots are still even saying that Mayweather could have knocked him out in the first. If that was the case, then why didn't Mayweather knock him out in the 10th? Mayweather didn't knock him out. That's not a KO. That's a TKO, and that was a fast stoppage. Even Evander Holyfield and a ton of other professional boxers said that official stopped that fight too early. Conor was coherent. I mean, he was talking to the ref when he stopped him. He knew where he was at. He was fatigued. It happens to everybody. And they said that the official should have at least let it go till he was knocked down or he was out against the ropes. He was not out against the ropes. Being out against the ropes is somebody who is leaning on the ropes to hold on, and then when they're let go, they fall. Or, they're basically out on their feet. Conor was never out on his feet. He was gassed. He couldn't catch his breath, which is a thing in boxing. I mean, you think going 3 rounds or 3-minute rounds versus 5-minute rounds, he would have better cardio. But the fact is, they go 5-minute rounds in UFC versus 12 3-minute rounds in boxing. So that's 25 minutes and 35 minutes. 10 minutes makes a difference when you're swinging, just with your arms. Your shoulders get tired. Your arms get tired. I know when I'm working out, if I do any kind of shadow boxing, even if I don't use weights, the next morning my arms kill me. My back, like around my trapezoids, they hurt. But pretty much every interview I have seen, other than more of the new age fighters, it's all been the old guys that said that the fight was stopped too soon. They were very impressed with Conor's performance. You know, and that he could come back and box. He would just need somebody to teach him where the finer points of the rule set. And that he could have a great career there. But Conor even said that he would never give up MMA. He likes the pure, unarmed combat that UFC is. But they all said he did great, and that the stoppage was early. The only ones that I've seen that said anything bad from the boxing side are the new guys. And again, they're new guys. They don't have the experience and the knowledge that these guys do that's been boxing since the late 70s, early 80s. You know, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but overall, when it comes to professionals, professional analysts, professional boxers, people that's been covering fights for years, they all said Conor did a great job. You know, he stood and went 10 rounds with the supposed best ever. He could have a career in boxing if he was to tune up his skills a little bit more. Not so much his skills, but learn the rules and get his cardio up. That he could have a career in boxing. But then you've got your armchair fighters, coaches, trainers, what you have it, saying that Conor got his ass whooped, but you've got professionals that say otherwise. I'm sorry. I'm going to listen to professionals and what I saw. Even I'm telling you, Conor didn't do his best. I think he was more or less trying to fluster Floyd. And even Holly Holmes said that Floyd was flustered the first 3 or 4 rounds. Now, those of you that don't know who Holly Holmes is, that may be from the boxing community or whatever, she's got a background, and I am not 100% sure if I'm remembering correctly, in boxing, but it could be kickboxing. Because I know in UFC that's typically all she does is kickboxes, but she's good. She's not been in UFC long. I want to say that she was a boxer for 7 years, but then again, it could be kickboxer. And she said that you could tell Mayweather was flustered for the first 3 rounds. And I think that's kind of what caused him to shove Conor. Either that or he was trying to fluster Conor and make him mad. Conor was never mad through that fight. I don't think I've ever seen Conor really lose his temper in a fight. He knows, and he said 100 times, if you go in there with any kind of emotion other than excitement, you're going to lose. And you hear that from a lot of professionals that are good at what they do. That is what got Ronda Rousey knocked out, choked out. Because she was being so respectful and cool with Holly Holmes until the night of the weigh-ins. And as soon as that happened, and when she started stuttering on her words, I said, she's lost it. Holly just got into that head. She's going to go in there now with emotions, and she's going to lose. The woman that had a total professional time in the cage that was like equal to one of Mike Tyson's fights, I believe, if I'm remembering my stats correctly, I think Holly was ranked number 8, and it was considered a huge mismatch, and Holly was a huge underdog in the fight. She got into her head, and I don't even think Holly was trying. I really don't. I don't think Holly, now that I've seen her and watched her, I don't think Holly actually did hit Ronda. Ronda just didn't like her fist being that close to her face, and Ronda wasn't up in her face like she was used to, so Ronda got mad, threw a fit. And when she started stuttering, I said, she's lost it. And she did. She came back. I mean, she pouted and hid forever, and she came back, refused to do really any media. I don't think she did do any media other than a face-off. After the fight with Amanda Nunes, they finished that fight in the first round in 54 seconds, if I remember correctly. She refused an octagon interview, and as much as I liked Rhonda for some of the things that she stood for, teaching girls to do what they want to do, don't be a do-nothing bitch, all this other stuff, you know, I liked that part of her. I wasn't a big fan of sportsmanship, but I also think that some of the things she was baited into, and people were only seeing one side, not the other. That's part of the reason why I don't like Miesha Tate. If you watch The Ultimate Fighter, where they were both coaches, when they were asked to stop doing things Rhonda did, Miesha didn't. So Miesha was trying to bait her. But yet, you know, she's supposed to be the sweetheart of a fighter. I don't like that bitch. I always say, every time I see her, I said she's got permanent bitch face. And, you know, yeah, she could whoop my ass. I'm not going to deny it. But she's not as good as she thinks she is. Yeah, I loved Rhonda at first, even though a lot of people didn't, because they didn't like her attitude. But again, that's something. Rhonda is not the same person outside the octagon as she is inside the octagon. She's done a lot of great for a lot of people, but when she lost and how she acted, that right there ruined me for that woman. I don't like Amanda Nunes, and I'm betting that she loses this upcoming fight. Could be wrong, but I'm thinking she does. JJ, love that little ball of fire. I'm hoping that 114 pounds of badassery can remain undefeated throughout the rest of her career in UFC. And then I hope when she retires, she finds another girl to train to be just as good as she is, because she's amazing. And she has somebody for young girls to look up to show them that they can do anything that they want to do. She's not afraid. When Nunes backed out of the one fight, she was ready to fight at 135, and she's a 114-pound fighter. So, but yeah, if you've got any questions about the boxing fight, just do your research. There's a lot of professionals that say otherwise, and then non-professionals that think they know everything. Who are you going to believe? I'm going to believe the professionals.